Hello, John Terrell of Cultic Cube here. Pull a chair up to the fireside at Chateau Cube, where we discuss life, limited magic, and cube draft. Today we are joined by Twitch streamer Floopy Minx. Floopy learned to play magic by playing Vintage Cube, which is a remarkable way to get into the game. She has since branched out, and she streams all sorts of magic, but Cube continues to be her passion, and she plays all the cubes that Wizards offers on MTGO and Arena. In the first part of our conversation, Floopy and I discuss the attractions of high-variance cube environments, and how streaming affects drafting performance. In the latter part of our chat, Floopy explains how she evaluates Pack-1-Pick-1s in Cube, and Kaldheim's Foretell mechanic. Finally, we move on to the important topic of representation of non-cisgender men in the Magic community. I am delighted to welcome Floopy Minx to Chateau Cube. Thanks so much for joining me. This is awesome.
No problem.
Well, in these podcasts, I often begin with this sort of game at the beginning, whereby we each roll a die and then use that to arrive at a card. So like one of us will roll for color and one of us will roll for CMC.
Okay, I like it.
You feel like rolling for Wooburg or rolling for CMC?
I'll roll for Wooburg. All right, ready?
Okay.
Okay, I got
Okay,
one.
awesome.
3. So that's black.
Yeah, nice. Okay, and 4. Okay, so black 4s.
I think I probably have to say Turgid's Lantern right now.
Turgid's Lantern, okay.
Yes.
Would you mind reading us the card?
Sure, I have it actually right here. I had to confirm that it was 4 mana cost. 3 colorless, 1 black source. Tap Turgid's Lantern. Target player loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. You can also tap 3 colorless, 1 swamp, and to untap Turgid's Lantern. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, okay, sweet. So you've got one of the gods here, one of the new MDFC from Kaldheim. I guess if you don't mind, would you read us the god as well?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. So Turgid, God of Fright. She's a legendary god, a legendary creature god. 3 colorless, 2 black. She has Menace. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So I find it's really good against, the Berserker deck where they're sacrificing, and especially with that saga, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but...
I honestly haven't drafted any Kaldheim at all. I'm sort of out of the loop on the cards that I haven't been looking at for Cube in particular.
I know. I'm interested to see how this card infiltrates Cube, if it does make it, yeah.
Right. So you're particularly interested clearly in the backside of the card and the artifact side of the card.
Yeah, definitely. I think most people are too.
That's cool. So tell me about the artifact. What are some of the things that are attractive about it?
It just presents your opponent with a lose-lose situation that,
Yeah.
It's always fun when you make your opponent choose their own demise.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
It's a little messed up, but...
Yeah, that's cool. So it's one of these browbeat or, Punisher kind of effects.
Exactly.
This is an interesting take on that because it is sort of stacksy.
Yeah, and that's true too. But especially with the untap feature, I feel like if you're in a stuck position, you're top decking, you're drawing lands, this is giving you options at least. This is you can tap it and then untap it, then tap it again.
Right.
So I think it's a good interim too, when you're...
Well, where do you think it's best? Is this best in a control deck as a sort of finisher?
I've actually only had my hands on this card playing limited drafts on Arena. I haven't actually played it in Constructed yet. In drafting, it's really good, especially against a lot of the sagas. I don't feel like there's as many predominantly creature decks that are really going hard right now in Standard. At least, there are, but it's not aggro.
Okay.
So I think you're getting this out on the right time, at the right time, besides the elf decks, but the Soul Tie deck that's kind of ruling Standard right now. This is, by the time they're getting their permanents out, you've got the Lantern out, and then, say lovey.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so it gives you this inevitability over time. That's a sweet feature of it. Yeah, the Staxy kind of thing is cool. I could see how this could work in a cube environment that goes in for stacks and has braids and smokestack and that kind of stuff. But then it is this Punisher mechanic, like Browbeat, like we talked about. How do you feel about this kind of mechanic generally? Because this is something that it seems like WotC keeps tinkering with over time, like trying to turn the knobs so they can figure out where to pitch this kind of card so that giving opponents a choice isn't detrimental to your own game plan. Or
I like the mechanic. I prefer matchups that are interactive and there's actually like a board state. So this, I think, is good in terms of the matches I prefer to play. So I guess it all just depends. Like I said, in my preferred matchup, I think it would be great. But again, it just depends.
Thinking about how this might interact with the cube environment, it does, like, there's some world in which if you have enough stacks pieces, even casting this on the front side as the god could be cool. I mean, if you have reliable ways to get your opponent to be sacking stuff all the time.
Now, I think in Constructed, I guess this wouldn't be so much in Cube for singleton reasons, but in Constructed, if you could get the Lantern out and the God of Fright out, that would just be really gnarly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That'd be amazing.
But yeah, where sometimes I feel like people don't think that mechanic is very good, where player sacrifices a creature because it gives them the choice. But I think with the Lantern out, I think that mechanic could find a new use, if you will.
Yeah, that could be better, right? Especially with repeatable edict effects. I don't love edict effects outside of powered cubes where you could have an Inkwell Leviathan down on turn 1 or turn 2 or something, and then the edict is the thing, right? That's you out of that.
That's the Swamp Walk.
Yeah, Island Walk. Yeah, right. And when it's got Shroud, I guess. On turn 2, it's not like you can Doomblade the thing or whatever.
Right.
But, you could have repeatable sack effects, obviously, or discard effects. Lily of the Veil or something would be sweet with this kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. I feel that way about a lot of the cards in the new set is there's so many new mechanics that work with the old mechanics that give things like a new opportunity or new like play path, I guess, which is cool.
Yeah, that's true. Although also I'm not testing as many cards as I had been from Kaldheim compared to other sets of late, like Theros or, Eldraine or something. So let's see.
What do you usually test? Like, how are you usually testing them?
Well, I cram in tons of cards often. So from Eldraine, I think I tested something like 38 cards from the set in my kind of main cube. And that's a ton, right? And let's see out of curiosity how many remain. So 18 remain in my main cube for whatever that's worth. And in Kaldheim, I'm only testing, I think it was 9.
I almost wonder, I kind of see that I just started playing Standard again. And I find that is kind of true also with constructed decks. It's like Kaldheim presented all these new mechanics and people are using them, but it's just kind of like picking and choosing a couple. And then the rest of their decks are like from past sets. There's like a couple of mechanics that they, like the Valky, in the Sultai deck. Like there's just a couple, but it focuses around that. But it's still, there's just a few.
Yeah, that card is awesome. That's one of probably my 2 favorite cards in the set in my cube. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, Kaldheim seems to me to be pretty clearly a powering down from, design perspective, from WotC's perspective. They're like reining things back from some of the craziness of the Uros and the Okos that we've been treated to of late.
Yeah, I agree with what you mean, like pulling back the reins, but also I feel like it gave a refresh to certain cards that weren't doing much. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I don't keep up with the standard scene, so it's really interesting to hear your perspective on how Kaldheim has affected that, or the kind of limited impact that Kaldheim might have had on that. Here, let me pick a 4-drop in black as well. Oh, well, here's one I've been kind of enjoying in my lower powered cube. My latest baby is I've been working on a cube I call Petty Nobility. And it's It's a much lower powered environment that's aiming for kind of a master's draft environment.
Yeah.
So one guy I've been kind of liking here is Nightmare Shepherd.
Yes.
You remember that from Theros Beyond Death? Yeah.
Yes, he is a good one. He brings you in a copy, but it's a 1/1.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
2 black for an enchantment creature demon. It's a 4/4. It's got flying, and it says whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1 and it's a nightmare in addition to its other types.
Yes. He was in Arena Cube, and I found myself like forcing Orzhov life gain with Vito and everybody, Blood Artist and all that. And so Blood Artist and Nightmare Shepherd worked well together.
Yeah, they're BFFs.
Yeah, the life gain, life drain. It's fun.
Yeah, it is super cool. It's super cool in an aristocrat style deck, self-sacrifice deck.
My first paper deck ever was a modern vampire deck. It wasn't like, I mean, it was so far from meta, but it was more like a really cool aesthetic deck. But it had like Bloodghast and Vampire Aristocrat and Calastria, I think. But it was really fun. I've just always been into those kind of mechanics. And Reanimate's fun too.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is a super cool guy. He's not only just providing you with tokens when things die, they're not just replacing themselves like a doomed traveler might, but obviously you get whatever abilities those creatures have, even if it's now on a 1/1.
Exactly. Right, like I can have a 1/1 Vito all day.
Yeah.
I don't need Vito to be big.
Right, he's still got that static. So Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, is 2 and a black, and he says he's a 1/3. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life, and he can give people lifelink. So, right. And then also the guys who sack stuff, like your vampire aristocrats and that kind of...
Or your Ayara, I don't know how to say her name, the first of Lochthwain.
Oh, yeah, right. Right.
She's good too in that. Oh yeah, even Soul Warden, because when you're sacking and then you get the 1/1 back in, you know, so there's just so many things you can build on it.
Right, that's true. Yeah. That does work well with that life gain engine you were describing. That's a cool guy. I don't think that guy is fast enough for my higher powered cube. He's sort of a dirtly chap. And I don't support aristocrats there, which is I think where his best home is. But he's fun if you can kind of, in the right environment.
Get him out.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell me about your experience playing cubes. Like, what's your ideal cube? What are some of the cubes that you've most enjoyed that you've played?
When I first learned how to play Magic, I just picked up some of the dual decks from Target, so very limited exposure to it. And I didn't have any friends that really played it, so I wanted to learn how to play online. And the only other person I really knew who played it only ever played Cube. So he's like, I'll teach you how to play Cube. And so I learned how to play Vintage Cube before I learned any other format of Magic, which is not the place to start. So it's kind of like my Magic adventures went completely backwards. Just going from Singleton, going to Constructed was really weird after learning to play Cube. But I used to only do Vintage, Modern, and Legacy Cube when it came out because that was all I knew how to do. When I decided to start streaming, Modern Cube was up and I was like, okay, I'm going to start streaming. So I started streaming Modern Cube, and then of course Modern Cube went down. I was like, well, I guess if I want to keep streaming, I'm going to have to learn how to play these other formats. J-Bro kind of caught me up on the Cube thing because he only really ever streams Cube, and not a lot of Twitch streamers, I think, stream Cube. I don't see a lot of people streaming Cube as opposed to like Arena and their constructed formats. So I think I got known as like one of the handful of people who stream Cube.
You've been playing Cube since day one, it sounds like. That's awesome. So you've played a huge range of cubes then. Do you have any favorite environments, or what are some of the features of the cubes that you most enjoy?
Well, I really like Cube because I really like to draft. That's really the main thing. I feel like not everyone's just going and, you know, renting the same deck. And I'm not playing against the same deck over and over again. And even if you're playing against the same themes, there's still variations to everyone's deck. I also like Singleton. I think it's cooler because you get to play more spells, a more variety of spells. I like the not knowing of it. You know, like if in standard right now, I know that if you have 2 mana up and one's a swamp, you're going to negate me. But like in cube, you could have those 2 up and it could be anything. And again, the singleton format, I like that because it's like, okay, if you have 1 Valky, I can deal with that.
Yeah.
You know, I can't deal with 4 of them.
Yeah, right.
Or, you know, like that kind of gets monotonous to me. So I really like cube in that sense. And I mean, you can just do some really OP stuff like on turn 2.
Yeah.
Let me just tinker Blightsteel Colossus real quick.
Okay, that's cool. Right.
Or, yeah, you know.
So do you gravitate towards those higher power environments, it sounds like? Is like Vintage Cube the thing you want to be doing?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Arena Cube too. I really like the overpowered stuff. I think Living the Dream Cube was fun because you really got to play out those massive combos and that, you know, I love a good hiki-jiki execution, like Splinter Twin. So those are always fun, but I just feel like, I don't know, the games are more interactive to me. Like if I have to play another mill rogue deck, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tinkering into Blightsteel Colossus, though, that's a little less interactive than your.
It is, but like, yeah, but I mean, but you can deal with it, you know, and
yeah.
I mean, the tinkering your Colossus, like the tinkering the Colossus is, you know, that's not something I force. Like if I get a tinker and I get a Blightsteel, then yeah, it's probably gonna happen. But
yeah, right. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you, and I totally see what you're saying, because it does feel like an achievement when you assemble all the pieces to tinker your Blightsteel Colossus,
yeah.
And it also feels like an achievement on the receiving end when, you know, that one time and however many times you are able to
deal with it, yeah.
You handle it, right? How do you locate yourself in Mark Rosewater's psychographics, the Spike and the Jenny Johnny and Timmy Tammy?
Oh, well, I'm identifying with Timmy right now.
Okay, yeah. All right, that's great.
Simple Timmy.
That's great. You want to cast your big stuff.
I do like the combo decks and stuff of Cube, but also I love a bunch of mana dorks and getting out Craterhoof, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the type of interactive stuff I like. There is a board state. There is, you know, and I like decks like that because you don't necessarily have to draw all the right pieces or find all the right pieces in order for it to work.
Right. Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, that's one of the big attractions to Tinker. Obviously, Tinker is the tutor, has the tutor built into it. Whereas Reanimator is something outside of an Entomb.
Right. And tutors are great, except for, like, I hate playing against Storm decks.
Yeah.
Like, that is one of the most boring games of Magic to me. I'm sure the person on the other side is having the time of their life.
Yeah.
Going through their deck 20 times. Like, but I'm just sitting there like, okay, let me know when I get to do something.
Well, that's interesting, though, because I've seen, in watching your stream, I feel like I've seen you play quite aggressive decks. And so I don't know if maybe that's just a small sample size, or I'm misremembering or misunderstanding. That's not your thing, huh? Like white aggro type decks? Oh, no, that is. So that was when I was learning how to play Magic Online, I would tend to force white weenies, mono white. One, because it was the easiest thing to draft and the easiest thing to force in terms of like learning how to play. Not a lot of people are drafting white. A lot of people, especially in like vintage, legacy, and modern cube, think it's, the least powerful color. So it was always open. But yeah, I was known for the white weenie decks for a long time because, again, when I was first starting, like that's what I was comfortable with. I knew that I could draft it. I knew how to play it. I started to venture out of my comfort zone, and I actually haven't forced it in a while. But yes, that was me for sure. Okay, that's cool. What are some of the advantages from your perspective of white-based aggro compared to some of the other traditional routes to aggro, like red notably or black? I honestly think that one of my biggest advantages with aggro white was people really did just kind of like underestimate it. Not underestimate it, but they wouldn't necessarily waste their kill spell on my Student of Warfare. Okay, but now it's a 4/4 with double strike. Yeah, right. And you used it on my Baneslayer Angel instead. You used your kill spell on that. So just like the little things that you get out early, people don't tend to... Like your Blade Splicer, I can flicker wisp my Blade Swiper, and now I've got 2/3/3s, and it's just
it gets wide fast, and I just feel like people don't worry about it as much in the beginning of the game as they should.
Yeah. Yeah, it does have cool tech like Flicker Wisp. That's a heck of a card for sure. And then it's just like smashing for 3 in the air. That's a
Or
fun.
Mother of Runes is super OP. And Mana Tithe. Mana Tithe is like my favorite card ever.
Oh, really? Oh, you're one of those people. Oh, no.
No, listen, I hate blue. I hate playing against blue because of all the counter spells. So white is just like, Mana Tithe is just my little piece of justice. Because you can, especially like in best of 3s, because you leave one planes open for the rest of the game, and
they have to respect it.
You could, whether you have it in your hand or not, they're like, oh, it's coming. Because the first time, you always get them the first time.
Right.
Always.
Right.
They never expect it, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people tap out in Cube often,
Oh, yeah, it's sneaky.
Well, that's pretty spiky, though, your white weenie decks. That
it is, and that's the
me.
thing. It does work. Like, when it works, it works.
Yeah. Has streaming affected the way that you play or the things that you are interested in doing in draft?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I've come a long way from when I first started playing. I mean, I still have a long way to go, but one of the things that is awesome about my channel is that it's a great place to learn Magic. Because I'm still learning, and my chat is great about teaching me new things, being patient with me. But I tell people, if you're new to Magic or you're wanting to learn, or whether you're learning from me, which is probably not the case, you can learn from chat. Like, you're going to learn something by being there, whether you're learning from my mistakes or you're learning from because there are lines that chat sees that I wouldn't have seen. And so I've definitely become a better player because of the community, and the growth aspect was like exponential once I started streaming.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I'm playing Cube by myself, like, I don't know all the lines that I'm missing, so it's definitely had a huge effect. I keep telling people I started streaming September 2019, so it was just a couple months before COVID hit. Before I started streaming, I had done 2 pre-releases, and the last one I had done was Throne of Eldraine. And doing Sealed, I did them twice, and Sealed is a completely different thing than Cube. So those 2 times I had no idea what I was doing. And now I'm so excited for when pre-releases come back, because I will actually know what I'm doing. People won't smell the fear on me.
Yeah, no, that's great having the community there, because it's like you've got your own hive mind walking around with you.
Exactly.
That's something that we don't typically have access to as players. But also that requires a huge amount of courage on your part. It seems to me like I think I'd be terrified to stream and have so many eyeballs there and people giving me advice. And
well, I think from the beginning, like, I was very straightforward with, like, I'm here to learn, like, and I think when people know that you're receptive to their suggestions and their critique, and the ability to take critique well, I think makes a big difference. If you get snippy back, that's kind of when the negativity comes in, and I can be snippy sometimes. Everyone gets their, like, all right, just chill. Yes, I messed up. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But I think just being receptive, and there's a little tag that you do on stream where it says backseat gaming allowed. I allow backseat gaming because I am trying to learn. And so I think just being honest about, I don't ever try to, I was making sure you knew that I was no expert.
Well, you're selling yourself short.
I mean, I've definitely gotten a lot better. Maybe I'm selling myself a little short. I think I'm a much better player off stream, to be honest, because I'm not quite as distracted. But
yes, right. I can totally see that. I mean, not in your case. Sorry, I don't mean to insult you and say no.
Yeah.
I just mean
it is for anyone.
Yeah, right. And the little experience I have doing that sort of thing, I can totally commiserate. And trying to talk while I'm trying to do Magic is discombobulating.
Exactly that, and people are like, oh, do this, but there's a lag, and they meant to tell you that 3 turns ago.
Oh, no, right.
Yeah, just stuff like that. But it comes with the territory. But I think, to answer your question, I think people genuinely like to help other people, and when I think they feel good about being able to teach me something and helping me be better at the game. So
I'm interested in your approach to cubes, or I suppose to draft formats broadly, speaking of pre-releases as you were a moment ago. How much preparation do you do before you go into a new format? Do you like to go in cold and just experience it, or do you...
So that's typically what I do. I will say Call Time was the first time I've actually done research for a set, and I can definitely tell a difference. Before streaming, again, I wasn't engulfed in the Magic community like I am now. You know, like I didn't have any friends who played it. I didn't talk to anyone about it. I just would check the calendar for Cube and see when it was up, and I would play. And I mean, being a single mom, and when I first started streaming, I worked full time. Luckily, I've been able to make this my full-time job for now.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's awesome. It's really done amazing things for me, like mentally with, you know, I have a flexible schedule now with my daughter. But in the beginning, I didn't really have the luxury of sitting down and being able to watch other people's streams and watch other people play Magic, or, you know, watch set reviews. I just didn't have the time. And now, because I'm not working full time somewhere else, I have the time to actually like prepare myself. Sometimes like with cubes and stuff, I will just go in blind because it's kind of fun. When I do go in blind, it's fun because there's no telling what I'll draft, because I don't really know what's supposed to be working together. But I definitely found that this last time researching Call Time helped a lot in playing.
So I'm curious how you got into Magic in the first instance, because you talked about going to Target and, you know, buying some decks and not really having other people in your community who were playing Magic. So what attracted you to it?
Well, I had a boyfriend who played, and he's the one who was like, oh, I'll teach you. We'll get the little dual decks from Target. I really enjoyed it. He's the one who taught me how to play Cube. And then when we broke up, I was like, dang, I don't have anyone to play with.
Yeah, right.
So that's when I really started playing online, and then just evolved from there.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, when I introduce the game to new players, I typically start them with a constructed deck. Like I've got some pre-made constructed decks I've built that I think of as pretty introductory decks. I've got 5 monocolored decks and then a couple of 2-color decks that are supposed to be highlighting the strengths of the color pie and whatever. But like I very quickly, I want to like pull people past constructed and be like, no, let's cube. Let's sit down and draft.
I think it's so fun. It's so fun. I love drafting. I think it puts everyone on a more level playing field, I think, in terms of, for everyone's deck is at the same playing field. Like I don't have to play rogues to be meta. Everyone's just kind of like on their own. You don't get to just copy and paste this list from Goldfish. So, which there's nothing wrong with. I do that too. I'm just saying I get tired of playing the same decks and constructed.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to hate on how people enjoy playing Magic. There's a million ways to enjoy Magic. That's great.
Right, and I mean, I can't build a constructed deck without those lists either. So there's no hate there. I just think it's more fun when everyone's got access to the same. Not that you don't have access to the same stuff in constructed, but you know, it's just this is what you get and this is what you have to deal with to make it work.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's much less repetitive from my point of view to play limited than constructed. And I just love the initial game of draft, because it's like you get to play this whole other game and then you get to play these other games.
It's a whole additional part of it. Exactly. And you're not playing the same deck for days and days and days. Yeah. You know?
Right. Practicing with a deck against other decks in the meta.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I did that some when I used to go to some GPs and play.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, yeah, play more standard.
We pause to recognize a charitable organization singled out by Floopy, Black Girls Code. Black Girls Code has been working for more than 10 years to increase the number of women of color in the digital space. They run community workshops and after-school programs in STEM-related fields for girls. They also have several institutions across the U.S. and have recently opened a campus in South Africa. I am donating all of my ad revenues since my last podcast to Black Girls Code. Learn more at blackgirlscode.com. Would you like to do a pack one, pick one and walk through your thought process?
I'd love to.
I'd love to hear what you see, you know, like what jumps out at you when you look at a pack.
Because my train of thought is not going to be the one most people have, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's another one of the joys of drafting, right? Everybody approaches things differently. And here, can I Twitter you a picture?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if Twitter you a picture is actually an expression, but...
It is now.
Yeah.
Ooh, this looks good. There's so many options here. Okay. All right, we've got Sarah the Benevolent, Conqueror's Foothold, Young Pyromancer, Aether Sphere Harvester, Magmatic Sinkhole, Fire Blast, Wooded Foothills, Swords of Plowshare, Dismissive Pyromancer, Champion of Ronus, Paradise Druid, Basalt Monolith, Obnixilis Reignited, Doomscar, and Night Incarnate.
I wonder if first, actually, like, would you mind pretend like you've just sat down to a brand new cube on Modo? Okay. You haven't looked at the list or anything. What are your... or I don't know if you think this way. Maybe you don't. Maybe this is just how I think about things when I'm presented with pack one, pick ones. But like, do you have any observations about the environment broadly from the pack? Like what sort of cube you think it might be, or what you might want to be doing in the cube, that kind of thing?
I don't know. I can't say what sort of cube it might be. I know that when in doubt, RDW. So might just go with Young Pyromancer. Like, you can't really go wrong with her in cube. I also don't hate Paradise Druid. Then there's Foothills to keep you open. Or Swords to Plowshare. Yeah, I think I would probably take... Oh, gosh. I'd probably take Pyromancer here.
Okay, that's cool. So you're thinking of it in terms of red deck wins. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes. It's a 2-drop. You can't go wrong with a 2-drop.
It gives you outs to other spell-heavy things, even if they're not super aggro, like some Is-It Spells deck or something.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Dang, now I want to go to pack 2.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Sorry, I just took a screen.
That's good.
I generated a couple packs and took a screen cap.
That's cool.
Okay, well here I'll send you another one. Hold on a second, because I took 2 screenshots. So you've got Coalition Relic, Creeping Tar Pit, Bitter Blossom, Crux of Fate, Findhorn Elves, Remand, Kazandu Mammoth. That's the one of the MDFC that is the guy who's a 3/3 with landfall from Theros. Student of Warfare, about whom you were just speaking.
Yeah, there's my guy.
Vorapede, Windswept Heath, Skin Render, Karn Liberated, Recurring Nightmare, Burst Lightning, Bloodstained Mire.
So here, I'm probably going to go with Recurring Nightmare. The last couple trophies I've gotten on Cube have been with Reanimate. So I would probably take Recurring Nightmare here and just hope to get all the components that I need. Maybe wield that Creeping Tar Pit, even though I won't hold my breath. I like the Student of Warfare too, though. That's great for your White Weenie deck. It's also great for top decking, you know? Like if I have all this land, you know, and I'm not drawing spells or I'm not able to cast spells, it's something to put my mana into.
Right, it is. I totally see that. And like Figure of Destiny is the, red, white,
I love
hybrid
Figure
thing.
of Destiny, yes. The Kithkin. I also love stuff that can't be countered. Like if I'm going to use my mana for stuff and you can't counter this ability, great. Love it.
Yeah, that's true. So you're talking about getting Student down and then leveling it isn't something that the opponent can do anything about.
Exactly. Like I hate spending mana and then my stuff gets countered and now I'm all tapped out for nothing. So,
right.
That's what I love about Shark Typhoon. It's like, you can't counter this cycle.
Oh my gosh. I love Shark Typhoon. That's one of my favorite cards in the past year. That is such a good card. I can probably count on one hand the number of times I've cast it for...
The actual enchantment.
Yeah, the actual enchantment, right? I'm forever cycling the thing and getting my Shark.
Exactly.
That's such a good card. Yeah, uncounterable, instant speed, scalable, cantrip. Yeah, this one, it seemed to me like in this pack, there's some options. So there's the 2 fetches, which are possibilities.
Right. See, my chat will yell at me all the time because I hate picking lands early on.
Oh, do you?
It's just so boring.
Okay, just too boring. Fair enough.
Well, it's like I'm going to end up with all these great lands and nothing to cast.
Right.
But then I usually end up with great things to cast and no way to cast them. So
Yeah.
a give and take thing.
Yeah, it's give and take for sure. I'm one of those people who takes lands extremely highly. And for me, I mean, I guess one of the ways I think about it anyway is we get 45 picks and you're going to be putting 23-ish spells in a deck. So, only 23 of your 45 picks are live at base level, right? Like at base 0.
Right.
So then any lands that you take are like you're getting additional picks. Now you're getting 24 and 25 and 26 picks and whatever. Plus you get to cast your stuff. Anyway, those are...
but those extra picks are coming off the back end of packs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So then you're left with like the scrubs.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I don't pick lands over super broken cards.
Right.
Like over most power and...
Yeah.
And then also land's quality varies. So
Of course.
Windswept Heath, for instance, I'm like not super excited about, but it's, it's fine. Because it can still find me a Tundra or whatever, obviously.
Right.
It's just I don't love Selesnya, I guess is what I'm getting at. So
yeah, true.
Exactly white-green I'm not happy about. How about like Bitter Blossom?
I love Bitter Blossom. I find that it's not like a game changer in Cube, I find. It's your nice 2-drop. It's, I think I've died to Bitter Blossom before. Like to my own
your own Bitter
Blossom.
Right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, I certainly have done that as well.
I love the card, though.
Fair enough.
And, that may be great in that veto deck with Soul Warden,
Yeah, where you're
because
gaining
you're gaining life and you're getting that Soul Warden trigger every time.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and you could use Veto eventually to turn on Lifelink for all your fairies. That'd be cool. Yeah, that's true. It's definitely, I mean, I can see that it's a slow card, A, and B, it's context dependent. So it goes way up in value when you've got equipment to throw on it, for instance.
Right.
Or like a Skull Clamp or something, for goodness sake, where you've got just infinite cards to draw.
Well, and that's like these new artifacts in Call Time you can attach to... Oh, never mind, that's different. You can attach enchantments to artifacts, but that's not the case.
Oh, yeah, right. You can stick them on vehicles and stuff.
Right, that way if your creature dies, you don't lose your enchantment too.
Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, Wizards just keeps trying to find ways of making auras less bad, less like walking into card disadvantage. It's cool that they keep finding new ways of tinkering with that.
I liked the foretell aspect just because that kind of helps you out with being mana screwed.
Yeah, that's a very interesting mechanic. I don't know if I should have gone deeper on testing those. I've got Doomscar that I'm testing, which is the Wrath.
You should try, what's the one that gives you another turn? It's like a 7 cast, but you can foretell it. Gives you 2 flyers. That's a good one. Yeah, like I think most of them you still end up paying this between your foretell cost and your cast cost. It still adds up to what you would have paid altogether, but I call it putting it on layaway.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna pay 2 of it right now, and I'll pay the rest next turn.
Yeah, and you have your opponent sitting there sweating what's on the other side of that card.
Exactly. I also like it because it frees stuff up from being discarded. It frees stuff up from like your Thoughtseize, or, you can get stuff out of your hand so people can't see it.
That's a very good point. I hadn't thought about that. That's one of the, advantages to Brainstorm, for instance. Put your key cards on top of your library instead of in your hand. That's sort of a similar thing. You're exiling it temporarily. Have you played any with that? I don't remember its name. The Entreat the Angels that has Foretell. You know what I'm talking about? It's an X spell.
Yes, let me look.
I was kind of hemming and hawing about whether to play that or, test that, but I kind of decided it seemed a little slow. Maybe it's like 2 white to make a 4/4 to make a Sarah Angel effectively, or you can foretell
Starnheim Unleashed.
Yeah, thank you. You found a good person.
Create a 4/4 white angel warrior creature token with flying and vigilance. If the spell was foretold, create X of those tokens instead, which is, whatever you cast it for. It's XX white.
Right, XX white.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one go off either.
I'm curious about it because, you can imagine it. You can imagine it being cool. You could go turn 2, foretell this thing, turn 3, flip it for 3 mana, right? White.
Right, and then get a 4/4 on turn 3.
Yeah, so that's not bad, right? You
It's
got
really
your
not.
turn 3
Yeah,
start
how have
engine.
I not seen that?
But it takes 2 turns to do that, and then like if they can
Right,
unsummon
but
it or
so
do
is
whatever.
the case on all of the foretell cards, so.
Yeah, that's true.
But like I said, it gets you out of the sticky mana drought sometimes, if you're just one short of casting it, or it gives you options.
That is a really nice thing. It gives you something to do on your 2 mana if you are stuck and haven't drawn the 3rd.
Yeah.
Several years ago now, in 2015, Gabby Spartz wrote those couple of articles about the barriers that people who aren't cisgendered men face in playing Magic. So I was wondering what your experience is. Are things any different today than 6 years ago? And
I brag on my community all the time because I know so many non-cisgendered men streamers, not just in Magic, but non-cisgendered men anywhere on the internet. I feel like anywhere in the world, it's a huge movement right now. And I think that when I entered this community and this was on the forefront of its big awakening, like, the Me Too movement and just everything was really coming to light around the time that I started streaming. And I feel like the awareness in the community had already gained momentum when I joined. I have had nothing but positive experiences with Twitch. I've had maybe one person. I don't even have to ban people half the time. Like, I have very few people who are banned. And when they were banned, it was, they were very obviously trolling coming into chat. Easy ban, they're out. I've heard so many stories of the Magic community that I haven't experienced on my own. So, like I said, I've been very welcomed. I think me being, not that anyone's not honest with their intentions of streaming, but I could see how people would get rubbed the wrong way by chat if, they made a mistake and then they just got eaten alive by their audience and things like that. I could see how that would be stressful. I think because my channel is so based on learning and I'm kind of self-deprecating that I kind of beat them to the punch anyway before they have an opportunity to, troll anyway. But it's to the point where, like, I'm so excited about in-person Magic. I'm excited about events. Like, I've been so welcomed over the internet that I can't wait. And I wish everyone could have the same experience as I have. I didn't realize how important the social aspect of this would be and the community aspect, that it's been very pleasantly surprising. Again, I can't speak toward, I know people receive hate and bigotry online all day, every day from every platform, not just Twitch, not just from the Magic community. And I wish everyone could have the same experience that I do, honestly, because it's been one I didn't know that I needed. So,
well, that's great. That's amazing. I'm so glad it's been so positive for you in your streaming career.
Well, and I think articles like Gabby's and prominent people who have overcome the obstacles that non-cisgendered face, and for her to be able to write an article like that and it make a difference and, make people stop and think, maybe I was a perpetrator of these kind of things. I think that in itself has shown how far we've come. And I really do think things like that have made a huge difference. Because I don't think a lot of men or, again, non-cisgendered realize the things that others experience online until people share stories and articles like this. So I think it's absolutely necessary that we keep talking about it. I also want to brag on the people who make the internet a great place. So
you've described this attitude of self-deprecation, which I feel like I can entirely sympathize with. I think that I interact in a similar way with people often, especially in situations that might be fraught online. Not that this happens that often, but like when Reddit threads get heated or something that I'm involved in, I'll start sort of backpedaling and making fun of myself or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like beating someone to the punch. Like, well, you can't make fun of me if I already made fun of me.
Yeah, right. Do you think that that's just a part of your personality, or is this a persona that you felt obliged to develop as a kind of defensive mechanism? Or how do you understand that?
Yes to both of those things. So it's definitely part of my personality, but it's been a characteristic that has developed over time, not just defensively in magic, but just in life, I guess. Again, just beating people to the punch. Like, you can't talk about me if my insults about myself are better than yours.
Do you see yourself as a role model in the community, either for how best to interact with people and build community online, or as a role model more specifically for women in magic, for instance?
If I were to be considered a role model, it would be a very, specific. It would definitely not be, across the board. My channel tends to be mature content, things like that. But I think that my channel could be a role model for other channels. It's not just me that makes the Floop Troop the Floop Troop. It's a collaboration for sure. And I think that my channel and the type of interactions and the personability behind it could be something for people to strive for when they're, creating a stream. I don't think that would be too much to say. I think that everybody would want a community like mine if they're trying to do this. So I think in that way, yes. But also, the fact that you can do this and you don't have to be the best Magic player there is. It's about finding like-minded people you enjoy spending time with, people who pick your brain in the right way, make you... I've talked to people of all walks of life on here that I would have never, had a chance to interact with otherwise. So I think my experience would be a good role model, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'm really trying to skirt that responsibility.
It does sound like a heavy responsibility to try to take on oneself, the mantle of role model and leader to people. So I'm sympathetic to that.
I wouldn't put my poster in your daughter's room or anything. I don't know.
Well, you develop a persona, and a strong persona and an affirmational, positive persona. So that's good. And these are all things that one might put up in one's daughter's room, it seems like.
Well, I think for anyone who's going to do this has to be a non-toxic experience because of what the internet is and how much weight and impact it has on people. If this is something that when you turn your stream off, you're not in a good place and something's got to change. It's not sustainable if it's not a toxic free. Not that the internet can ever be toxic free, but you have to have a game plan. You can't ever let that toxicity seep into your brain, I guess.
Well, you've found ways of navigating that. That's great. Yeah. And ways of making something that you love your profession. That's amazing.
Oh, I know. I couldn't. If 2020 did anything for me, it was that.
Yeah, that's super cool. And I know you've started your store recently.
That's right. Yes.
I wonder if you might talk a little bit about that.
I would love to tell you about it. Yeah, so it's Floopy Minx TCG. That's TCG is in tradingcardgame.com. So basically what it is people can place orders on the site. They're basically paying for the break of their product. So I break it open on stream, show off all the goodies that they got. We just pulled a Jeweled Lotus from Commander Legends the other day. It was awesome. We did pull a Phyrexian Voraclex. It was not foil, but it was Phyrexian.
Wow.
So it's really cool. It's also getting to do something a little different. If you bought a pack of Commander Legends, I break it open on stream, go through all your commons, uncommons, your rares, put the rares in the penny sleeves, put your valuables in the top loaders, pack them up. They do get a Floopy token. I don't know if you've seen these. The Floopy Cat token.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've seen these on Twitter as well. That's great.
So
that's super cool.
That comes with every order. I'm also doing giveaways through there. Yeah, it's really awesome. And I think it's another way I can connect with my community. Everybody gets geeked out about getting something in the mail, especially when it's not something yes, they ordered it, but it's coming from me. It's not just coming from Amazon. You know what I mean? It's coming from me. I write a little note. It's just another connection to people, and it's really cool.
Yeah, that is special that you send the thing out. I've been making prints of my artwork that I do for my videos, my Cultic Cube videos. Just like little 4x6 prints of the artwork and sending that out to people.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you're making it already, you might as well, right?
Yeah, might as well.
Exactly.
And I get, oh my goodness, I hope people enjoy getting it. And I can't tell you how excited I get when I see somebody in like Amsterdam send me a picture of like, they pinned it up on their corkboard or whatever. Yeah, so that's cool. I love that. I love that idea of people purchasing packs that you open on stream for them. That's great.
Well, and that's also the only way to get a Floopy token. So
yeah, nice. Where can people reach you, Floopy? What are some of the best social outlets?
So I'm on Twitter at Floopy Minx, all one word, or you can space it. I'll come up either way. On Instagram, I'm Floopy_Minx. And I'm also at Twitch, twitch.tv/Floopy Minx. No underscore there. And then, of course, my store, floopyminxtcg.com.
Nice. And we will put all of those links in the show notes, of course. Everybody should tune in to Floopy's Twitch channel. It's a great time.
Yes, I do a lot of giveaways, too. And you don't have to be a subscriber to participate.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down and hanging out. This has been
No problem.
great.
This was fun. Bye.